With climate change, there is an increase in the Earth's surface temperatures primarily due to anthropogenic activity. The acceleration in climate change is caused by humans' use of fossil fuels to meet growing energy and development demands. The use of fossil fuels release carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases into Earth's atmosphere. These gases are trapped within the atmosphere, which causes an increase in global surface temperature and leads to further disruptions in the biosphere, such as rising sea levels, extreme weather events, and droughts.
South Africa in the news, now in its third year of drought.
The effects of climate change are intensifying, which poses a serious threat to small island developing states. Small Island Developing States, SIDS, are a group of small island countries that tend to share sustainable development challenges.
That the climate change is starting to take adverse effect on all the vulnerable countries in the world. Small islands, especially in the Pacific, are suffering, and the extreme weather, and the uncertainty of weather and the intensity of it. The increased salinity in our waters as well. Of course, the sea level rise, and this affects our fish. Pacific people eat a lot of fish. The gardens, all this are all affected, and that's the main concern.
SIDS were first recognized as a distinct group of developing countries at the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development in June of 1992. The leaders of SIDS have responded to their community's concerns by raising their voices in international politics regarding climate negotiations, along with demanding immediate action. They have had a strong voice during climate conferences and are leaders in negotiating climate policy. The UN works with SIDS on environmental concerns. Prior to the formation of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, the Alliance of Small Island States was created to amplify the voices of SIDS in the UN and raise awareness on climate change issues. The Alliance of Small Island States successfully advocated to limit warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels at the 2015 United Nations Climate Change Conference, also known as COP21, in Paris, which became a historic agreement. SIDS' role in climate negotiations have become more prevalent through their organization. An example of this is in Samoa. Samoa faces extreme weather events like cyclones and tsunamis. Many islanders have become homeless after storms, which leave people extremely traumatized. Households are integral to Samoan culture. People live in the same houses their ancestors lived in. Samoan architect Karinya Funati is working to strengthen traditional fails so people will be able to stay connected to their homes. Children are becoming less interested in traditional skills for lack of financial support, and many are leaving the island as they get older. Funati and her team are hoping to teach youth how to build fails and reconnect them to their culture to encourage them to stay on the island. Instead of waiting for governments to aid islanders, the indigenous tribe, Titan tribe, which inhabits the Manus province located in Papua New Guinea, took initiative by connecting Pacific islands in efforts to share climate adaptation techniques. The tribe formed a 10-person crew in one canoe for a voyage of 4,000 kilometers. The canoe was named the Climate Challenger Voyage. The purpose was to connect 25 Pacific communities to share climate change adaptation practices in efforts to build resiliency. SIDS contain diverse cultures, natural resources, biodiversity, and indigenous knowledge, which makes them key members in our planetary ecosystem. According to Samuel Huntington, Western nations are using international institutions, military power, and economic resources to control the world in ways that will maintain Western predominance, protect Western interests, and promote Western political and economic values. However, This is causing local environments to be fundamentally altered because of climate change. Small islands are among the smallest contributors to climate change. The industrialized world, such as developed and developing nations, are among the largest emitters of greenhouse gases. SIDS claim that climate change is a form of colonialism, denying the fundamental freedoms of indigenous peoples. Many of the SIDS are ex-colonies. Their economies never took off after achieving independence, and now their natural capital is at stake. These islands are vulnerable at the expense of larger nations' desire for economic development. Although SIDS emit the least amount of pollution into the atmosphere, human-induced climate change is causing them to suffer the harmful effects due to Western nations' negligence of environmental stewardship.